Good evening, and thank you for being here. This presentation explains the budget revision that became necessary after the district override initiative failed. I will explain how the regional budget was built, what changes now have to be made, why those changes were selected, and how the revised plan will still support student learning, school improvement, and the mission of the school. The purpose of this presentation is to explain the budget adjustment in a clear and transparent way. These reductions were not chosen because they were ideal, but because they became necessary. My goal is to show that even in a difficult situation, budget decisions should still be guided by student needs, school priorities, ethical standards, and open communication. The regional school budget was built using projected enrollment, staffing allocations, and Title I funding. It also reflected the school's needs, identifying early assignments, including academic achievement, English learner support, intervention needs, subgroup concerns, and student engagement. The budget was designed to be balanced to align resources with the school improvement priorities. The regional budget was guided by student data and school priorities. Core academic areas such as math and language arts receive a strong staffing because they are central to student achievement and accountability. Reading, ESL, and special education support were also protected because those areas directly affect equity and access for students with greater needs. The district informed the school that due to the fail of override initiative, one teaching position must be eliminated and Title I budget must be reduced by 10%. Based on that current budget worksheet, that Title I cut equals $42,322 in Title IV grants. Fundraising could not be used to keep their teaching position. The teaching position selected for reduction is one art teacher. This was a difficult decision, but I believe it is the most defensible option because it protects the areas most closely tied to student achievement and school accountability. Core academic staffing in math, language arts, science, social studies, reading, ESL, and special education remains protected. Art is still preserved as a program because one art teacher remains in the budget. This decision was made using an ethical and practical lens. I did not want to make a cut based on popularity or convenience. Instead, I looked at which positions were most critical to the learning, intervention, and equity. The goal was to minimize harm while still complying with district requirements. This means protecting the staff areas that directly support the school's most urgent academic and subgroup needs. The Title I reduction should be handled in a way that protects direct instructional support as much as possible. In my view, it makes more sense to reduce areas like supplies, some non-salary allocations, or smaller support lines before cutting the intervention structures that most directly help students. The goal is to observe the cuts strategically rather than weakening the school's core academic response. One reason this plan is still workable it is that previous leadership decisions already helped protect the main budget. At the end of the school, large campus improvements and technology upgrades such as smart boards in every class were funded through grants rather than regular school budget. That allowed the school budget to stay more focused on staffing and academic priorities. This is an example of strategic leadership and responsible resource management. Even with the cuts, the revised plan still supports continuous school improvement because most of the important academic supports remain in place. The revised budget still reflects school priorities in reading, math, English learning support, and subgroup support. Although the budget is reduced, the main structure for improving student outcomes remains intact. This revised plan still supports the school's mission and vision because it keeps students' learning and access at the center. I also believe it supports democracy, equity, and diversity by protecting the students and programs that need support the most. In a budget reduction, equity means making sure vulnerable students do not lose the services that matter most to their success. Even during budget cuts, The school must continue advocating for technology and data systems. These tools help teachers monitor student progress, adjust instruction, and provide intervention. Because our school has already benefited from grant funded technology, I will continue advocating for outside support and partnerships so that technology access remains strong without burdening the school budget. Budget cuts create uncertainty, frustration, and sometimes fear because of the leadership during this process must be calm, honest, and transparent. I will communicate clearly with staff, families, and stakeholders about what is changing and why. I will also create space for questions and concerns because people are likely to support hard decisions when they feel respected and informed. In a time of budget cuts, relationships matter. I will work to make sure staff, parents, volunteers, and community members understand that school still values their support and partnership, even when these decisions are difficult. Maintaining trust is essential. The goal is to help everyone stay connected to the mission of supporting students. In closing, these budget reductions are difficult, but they must be handled with honesty, ethics, and careful reasoning. My goal was to make the most reasonable decision possible while protecting the programs and staff most directly connected to student learning. Even with this reduction, the school can continue moving forward if we stay focused on students, communicate clearly, and work together. Thank you for your attention.